Lisa Beckett was a 55-year-old postmenopausal woman when she was diagnosed with gynecological carcinosarcoma, which is an extremely rare and aggressive form of uterine cancer, but she was only stage 1A. Her frontline doctors performed a full hysterectomy as her treatment, but they neglected to take out her fallopian tubes and ovaries. After the surgery, her doctors told her she would be just fine and to come in if she had any concerns. Well, just 3 months at post-surgery, she went to her main oncology providers complaining of abdominal pain. Her doctor blew her off, saying it was just constipation from her intestines shifting around post-surgery. She ended up in the ER several more times complaining of pain in her abdomen that was migrating down into her hips. The doctors threw pain pills at her and sent her away. Finally, 6 months post-surgery, Lisa finally got a CT scan, and the cancer had metastasized throughout multiple of her major organs and bones in her pelvis and thighs. Lisa's situation could have been easily avoided had her doctors listened to her and followed a standard of treatment and prevention, like removing her ovaries and fallopian tubes and performing scans the second she complained about pain. But Lisa wasn't so lucky. There are many deficits in the women's healthcare system, but there are two that precede them all. The first is misunderstanding of medication for women. According to the NIH.gov, women are 50 to 75% more likely to experience adverse drug reactions when being medicated. This could lead to further medication reactions and causing their doctors to further medicate them, and the cycle continues. But women quite possibly need different drug dosage and possibly a different drug composition altogether. But this isn't understood. According to the AAFP.org, women are 2 times more likely to have to cycle through many different doses or many different drugs, sometimes for years, until they find one that works. There is also a second huge issue in deficits of women's healthcare that precede all of the issues, is misdiagnosis. Women are misdiagnosed at a prolific rate. According to cthealth.org, if a woman walks into an ER, she is 20 to 30% more likely to receive a diagnostic error than a white man. In heart attack patients, female patients die at a rate of 11.8% compared to the male patients of 4.6%. This is according to the American Heart Association. And according to the Child Minds Institute, young girls are more likely to go undiagnosed for autism and for ADHD. So it's not just in adult women, it starts extremely young too. They are more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, or just low confidence. But why are these things happening? Wouldn't doctors have a diagnostic criteria to follow? I mean, they do, but the diagnostic criteria isn't based off of women. It's based off of men and only men. Men and women have different biological factors that make us medically not equal. Everything we know in medicine is based almost entirely off of research and drug trials, where males were either the majority or the only participants. According to the AAMC.org, the FDA purposely excluded women of childbearing age from participating in medical research and drug trials until 1993. And the Institute of Medicine didn't release a study saying that men and women have different biological processes until 2001, meaning that female and male hormone differences were not a variable in any study until after this article was released. And the Harvard Medical School in 2019 did a study that found that women were still substantially underrepresented in clinical research. This means that all diagnostic criteria for every available medical diagnosis and for every pharmaceutical drug on the market, all of it is based off of research of male patients. But how do we fix this? There are 2 simple solutions: education and legislation. First, for education. In most undergrad medical degrees, there is very little taught about women's health specifically. In pharmacy school, they only have a quarter of education based solely on women's health care. In medical school, unless they specialize in a women's healthcare field like OB-GYN, they receive the bare minimum of women's health education. And this just isn't acceptable anymore. The second solution is also legislation. There needs to be laws protecting women's healthcare rights and supporting further research into women's healthcare issues, because there is simply not enough right now. So contact your local legislators and encourage them to fight for women's rights in healthcare. Lisa didn't have anyone standing up for her. She didn't have doctors on her side that were listening to her, that followed good diagnostic criteria for her, and she did not have laws protecting her. Lisa, after her cancer further metastasized, she fought diligently against her cancer. But only 14 months post-diagnosis of her stage 1A cancer, she died. This is due to the negligence, the misunderstanding, the miseducation of her doctors. This could be easily avoided. Lisa could still be alive today had her doctors followed the standard of treatment and removed all of her reproductive organs, including her fallopian tubes and ovaries. And this also could have been prevented had her doctors listened to her and followed a diagnostic criteria of abdominal pain equals CT. But they didn't. And Lisa can't be here today. This could happen to you, this could happen to me, this could happen to any woman we know. And this just isn't an acceptable standard of treatment anymore for women and our health.